Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3. And today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto was half Viltrumite and half Kryptonian. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other What Ifs over in the other channels. Yes, I indeed have 4 of them which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the End Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, what do you say we jump right into this? Begin now guys. So the last spot we left off, a strange behemoth of a monster was ravaging through an unknown area. Ninjas were trying to fight it, but their weapons and their attacks proved to be useless against it, as the thing simply attacked, tearing them apart. That is when a green gas filled the entire place. The monster was subdued into a child. Orochimaru was shown to be behind all of this, as he looked down towards a boy with dark hair and dark eyes. It was a few years back. Orochimaru had felt something shake his entire base underground. Coming up to the surface, he saw meteors raining from the heavens. That is when he came across an egg, a strange egg that was pulsating. It broke, black goo came out, and a boy who seemed to be around 2 to 3 years old. Orochimaru was astonished at that, not understanding what he was. He ran tests on the boy. However, everything about him seems normal, until there was an incident where the boy got angry. He ended up turning into a behemoth of a monster. It was a good thing that Orochimaru came across a green rock, which weakened him and returned him back to normal. Orochimaru was shocked to what he discovered. The rock weakened him, but every time he used it, it seemed to be getting less and less to weaken him. So he started to space out the boy's transformation. However, as time drags on, the boy was getting stronger and stronger and stronger, as Orochimaru did not know if there was any limit to his strength. However, this brought up a perfect opportunity. This boy will be what he will use to bring Konoha down to its knees. Not even the Great Yellow Flash could destroy a monster like this. As this beast would destroy, it will be the end of days. That is why he called it Doomsday. We then skip towards Konoha. It's been 2 years. 2 years since the ninja's attack, as Naruto was on a chair. Ever since then, his mother was adamant on him going to therapy. And he of course got the best therapist, Inoichi Yamanaka, head of the department. Since then, Naruto has been going there, and Inoichi has seen good improvement as Naruto had opened up to him and spoke to him about the understanding of life and death. However, Naruto learned what he was some time ago. He was not the biological son of Minato or Kushina, and Mito was not really his sister. He was an alien. We had skipped back into a flashback, as Naruto was brought towards the location where the ship was. The moment he touched it though, his mind was transported somewhere else, as he found himself in front of a woman who claimed to be his mother. She said that she was the sister of Zod. Naruto did not know who Zod was, as she told him his origins. It turns out that she came across a man fighting off against some creatures, terrible creatures. She was able to save him using technology, which she later found out that he lost his memory. As there was romance between the both of them, which led to the birth of Naruto. It was then that she found out that he was lying about his memory loss, and he was indeed a Viltrumite, not just any Viltrumite. The leader of the land. Yes, he was the number one Viltrumite. His name was Thrag, and he wanted to dominate Krypton. Zod and Jarrell was already fighting, as they were against one another. And this was another party that they had to take care of. She told her brother what happened, and Thrag killed Zod. From then it was all out war and chaos. While the Kryptonians might not have the strength to match them on their home planet, their technology surpassed even the Viltrumites. As they send many of them away to unknown zones, Thrag and his people though attack relentlessly. There was breathers in between. Thrag didn't want her to die because the chemistry of Kryptons were, well, rather great. When they came across the yellow sun, it made them into beings that defied the law of anything, strength that is unmanageable. And Thrag wanted Naruto to be born and take him and use him, as the Viltrumites were really bad people. However, the power that Naruto will have will make Thrag an even fearsome warrior with him underneath him. But she refused. Krypton got worse, as on that day, the planet was going to blow. She was able to steal one of the House of L spaceships and place Naruto inside the clothing of, well, the House of L, and send him off to a far, far, far distance away from Krypton, where Thrag will take a long time to find him, seeing that he had to search everywhere in between. She told him that he had to get stronger. However, his mother was not as what he expected. She wanted him to defeat Thrag and take control of the Viltrumite army. Strength is what rules there. As Naruto, she told him that he was the last son of, well, the House of Zod, and he was destined to rule, to not to be a follower. His mother wanted him to kill Thrag and take over, before Thrag killed him, if he denied him. The life essence that she was able to store in the ship, it had run out by that point. The ship was not hers, so she didn't have enough for her to stay and teach him more. But she did place something in his hand that affected him in the outside world. The clothing of, well, her and her people. That was fit for him, a king. As she went away soon after, he had told Minato what happened, as he told Kushina that she was still his mother despite everything. As she saw him as such, she was there for him from day one. Given the age of his younger sister, they decided to keep it a secret for now. So with that, we skip to a different location where Naruto was, killing a few people. Yes. The whole experience has changed him, and his mother was right. The Elemental Nation was a corrupted place and he needed to fix it, as Naruto demolished slave owners that kidnapped children, younger people, to sell them to other wealthy men, as he has shown to get ruthless over the years. Returning back, Naruto was able to sneak in, using a floorboard that was underneath his bed, as he could dig underground pretty fast. He also found out that the Uchihas were planning a coup. His hearing and vision was something that allowed him to spy on many people, and Naruto knew that this was going to be bad if they do that, because the other nations would see Konoha as weak if a civil war was to take place. So he had to do what he had to do if his father failed in stopping this. He had to eliminate them. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, guys can switch across the playthrough of yourself, so this will be jump right into this brand new episode. Begin now guys. We begin this episode with Orochimaru. It was a rather gruesome sight, as there was a man on a table, strapped down. He was unconscious. Orochimaru had a syringe in his hand as he injected into the man's neck. The moment he did so, the man's eyes snapped open. They were black. However, red veins started to pop up all over into his eyes. The man then started to foam at the mouth. Orochimaru started to step back as the man started to get crazy. His skin started to writhe and twist, spikes coming out of his arms and shoulders. He ripped out of the restraint. Orochimaru stepped back as the man started to grow in size. However, the moment his feet touched ground, blood started to ooze from his nose and mouth. Before he collapsed, face first, dead. The Sannin frowned angrily, not liking this in the slightest. This was the 50th try that he had with one of his subjects, implanting Doomsday DNA inside of them. Orochimaru tried to gain, well, he was trying to make an army of warriors as such, under his control, but he could not get it right. The body of any normal individual could not handle the strain. At first he thought that it was just a civilian's body, but he tried it on ninjas, and they also broke apart. Up till now he was failing over and over again, as he was unable to perfect the serum to create more warriors like Doomsday. He stepped forward as he went towards a set of video feeds. He pressed the button as they came to life, showing him the boy, acting rather normal, talking with several others that were in this base. In this state he was a normal, healthy boy, but when triggered he turned into a monster of unstoppable rage and chaos. That is what Orochimaru wanted, an army of that power and force under him. With that army, no nation could stand in his way. Doomsday was getting stronger, but he was just one. Orochimaru wanted to create an army of them, but his plan of destroying Konoha would still come to fruition. He will make sure of that. Meanwhile, that was going on at Konoha. Mito was in the park as she was sitting and talking with her friends. Her friends being Ino Yamanaka and Hinata Hyuga. She and Hinata became friends at her 4th birthday party, and ever since, they have been friends. She met Ino when her and her brother was going out to get her some treats, and she saw a man calling out to her brother. He had blonde hair and blue eyes. It turns out that he was the head of the Yamanaka family. She remembered meeting someone like him, but it was some time ago, and he was walking with another blonde beside him, being none other than Ino Yamanaka. And they started to talk and they became friends. In a few months, she would be attending the academy. Yes, she would be finally attending the academy. She wanted to become a kunoichi, not just any kunoichi though. One of the greatest kunoichi to ever walk this earth. Her brother was extremely powerful and a very great person, and she wanted to be just as great, even maybe one day become Hokage. But there was still a very long path ahead. For now, she just had to go through the academy and become a kunoichi of Konoha. Ino was in the middle of a conversation when she stopped suddenly, causing Mito to glance over as she noticed why. Her brother was here. He was here to pick her up, and she knew why. "Sorry girls," she said. "I'm gonna have to cut this meeting between us short. Me and my big brother has a project that we're working on." However, none of them responded to her. Mito sighed. It was always this way whenever they saw her brother, especially Ino, as her face turned red and she started to act all shy. Mito was not sure why. Hinata always avoided eye contact with him as Naruto walked over towards them. He had not changed that much. Mito was still 6 years old, and his current age was 10. He was still tall for a 10-year-old, but that was his age at the moment. As he arrived, a calm smile on his face. "Hey there girls," he said. "I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to break up your little play date." "It's not a play date," Mito said, as Naruto looked towards her amused. "Then what exactly is it?" he asked. She folded her arms. Simple. 3 young, sophisticated girls coming together and talking about important matters. "Like what?" said Naruto. She turned her head. "Nothing you would understand," she said. "Well, I'll see you guys later, okay?" As she started to walk, as Naruto gave them a 2-finger wave goodbye. Once he was out of the picture, so was Mito. The 6-year-old Ino cursed. "Damn it," she said, as Hinata slowly blinked as the both of them regained their composure. I can't believe I froze up again. You're not the only one, Hinata said. Ever since she started to hang out with the both of them, she has really come out of her shell a lot. However, she had a major crush on Mito's older brother ever since she was 4 years old and he came to her birthday party. The first time he said hello to her, she became so red that she hid away. As for Ino on the other hand, the first time she met him was when she interrupted her father and he was having a session with Naruto, and she saw those dreamy eyes of his looking back at her. His face was so calm and smiling. He was the most handsomest boy that she has ever seen. Since then, every time she saw him, she froze up. And she was angry at herself because she doesn't normally froze up, as she gripped her hair tightly. Why does this keep on happening to me, she asked herself, rather angrily. Hinata poked her fingers together. Maybe it's because Naruto-san is really handsome. As Ino nodded at that. Yes, he is handsome, but this is unlike me. I should be able to at least say something. I am freezing up even worse than you. No offense, Ino said. Hinata merely shrugged it off. After all, she was no exception. Meanwhile that was going on, Mito fed all the pups, if you could even call them that anymore. They have grown exceptionally large. They were even bigger than their own mother by now. And most of the time, majority of them ventured out. The forest of Konoha was insanely large after all. Mito had been scared to visit this place after those guys had tried to attack her. But Naruto promised her that no one would ever hurt her ever again. However, that was not the only reason why they were out here. Are you ready? Naruto asked. She nodded her head as Naruto took the scroll out of his backpack and handed it to her as she unraveled it. Their mother and father did not want her to start to focus on anything too dangerous. At the age that she was just 6 years old. They wanted her to enjoy her childhood before being shoved into anything too dangerous. While her mother started to teach her Fuinjutsu, that was different because she was basically starting the first step of Fuinjutsu, and that was her handwriting, her calligraphy. However, she seemed to have a special knack for it. Both of her parents were well off in Fuinjutsu, so it would lead to believe that she would be well off as well. However, Naruto didn't see it as such. The world was a dangerous place. He knew that for certainty. And she had to be ready. It was more than easy enough to sneak into the library and find out certain things that she would need. First of all, her chakra affinity. She has wind and water. Those would be definitely important for the future. However, the scroll in front of her, Naruto had written down everything that he saw in the scrolls in the library on how to control her chakra. Despite not starting the academy yet, she knew things that certain academy students did not even know. She was on to the second step. The first was the balance, a stick in her hand using her chakra alone. It took her a while. It turns out that she had such large amount of chakra that it was hard to control. So the more they go into the control of her chakra, the better she becomes. Alright, it seems that the next one will be tree walking, said Naruto. Are you ready for this? He asked her. There was a determined look on her face. Yeah, I'm ready, she said. The first attempt she failed, the second she failed, the third she failed. But despite that, she did not give up. While she was doing that, Naruto looked down toward his hand. He was wearing a long sleeve black shirt. A long time ago, because of his inability to use chakra, his mother and father had worked on a seal that would help him use chakra. Yes, they would draw it into the center of his hands, going up towards his shoulder blades, as his entire hands would be covered. The seals would function as chakra points in one's body. However, someone had to forcefully place chakra inside of it. Kushina had done so, pumping chakra in the seal in Naruto's hands. And Naruto was able to use chakra. However, it did not suit him. It took too long. And it just did not feel comfortable. At first, Naruto's abilities did not show, so they figured that he would never be a ninja, until his strength started to increase beyond normal expectations, and now he no longer needs chakra. However, for what he was about to do, he needs it. As he looked towards his sister, practicing, there is nothing on this earth that he wouldn't do to make sure that she was safe. Nothing. Time skip. Later that night, Naruto stood in mid-air as he looked down towards the Uchiha sacred grounds. All of the Uchihas that wanted to take part in the coup was here. Itachi was on a mission. That was good. Looking down towards his hands, the seals were still there. He knew that if he used these seals to do what he was going to do, to set off the explosives, the chakra residue would be that of someone that he cared about. So he went outside of the village to find a scum and forced them to empower the seals. Once they did, he could not leave any evidence behind, so he got rid of them. As he said before, there was nothing that he would not do to make sure his family was safe. Shisui Uchiha was killed. Unfortunately, he was not in the village when that had happened. However, he had a suspicion on who did it. Danzo Shimura. His father believed such as well. However, there was no evidence that the man did so. There was no body that was found. Unknown to Naruto or anyone else, Danzo did go after Shisui. However, knowing that the Hokage would be suspicious of him, Danzo got rid of Shisui's body, leaving a fake message behind that he couldn't handle the stress of everything, and he committed suicide. To the Uchiha members, they thought he was stressed out because of the coup, and how dependent they would be upon him in the coup. Minato believed that Shisui was stressed out because of what he had to do, as his eyes would be the changing factor in everything. He would use his eyes on Fukaku and the elders to make sure that they change their minds, and they would be none the wiser. Danzo had been able to subdue Shisui by allowing a special member that he had under his control to poison him. A quick active poison. Shisui was not in a state to fight back, and Danzo had got rid of him, taking both of his eyes as trophies, and got rid of the body. Naruto was not aware of that, but he knew that Danzo was behind it. He saw how angry the man was. Not to mention, Naruto was able to hear everything and see everything Danzo did. Danzo's base was underground and Naruto knew exactly where it was. The only reason why he was not telling his father is because there was a use for the man. Yes, Danzo was important. However, the Uchihas, they were nothing but problems. Their strength might have been needed in the past. However, with what they intend to do, they weren't needed anymore. Anyone that stepped foot against Konoha, he would simply rip them to pieces with his bare hands. So there was no need for the Uchihas and their sort of mentality. At the moment, there was a large ball in Naruto's hand, as there was a Fuinjutsu matrix on it, just the activation that needs chakra. The chakra that he would use is of someone that no longer exists and was never from this village, so no one would ever know. As Naruto's eyes was able to see it all and witness it take place down below him. As they were talking, they really want to start the coup. Fukaku was hesitating, as he wanted to wait for the right moment. His son was not even here to take part in the meeting, which Naruto was glad for. Not too long ago, Danzo had came towards Itachi. They spoke together, with the Hokage none the wiser. Of course, Naruto had came across that meeting. With his eyes closed and his hearing on full max, Naruto could find things rather easy, and he found the both of them talking. Danzo gave Itachi an ultimatum. Either he kill all the Uchihas that were tainted for the destruction of the leaf because of their action, and he would even let his brother live to repopulate the Uchiha clan once more in the far future, or Danzo would send all of his remaining forces to start chaos. Itachi knew that if he go to the Hokage about this, Danzo would start something that would lead to a civil war within the village. The man would not stand for the Uchihas to win. He would do whatever it takes Itachi also had his suspicions that Danzo was the one that killed Shisui, but they could not prove it. As much as he would like to end the man. Also, Itachi saw what would happen if the Uchihas got what they wanted. Being the man that he was, he knew what he had to do. Danzo gave him 1 week. Nothing more, just 1 week. And if he does not return with the answer by then, well, there will be chaos. He had his man on constant watch to make sure Itachi did not inform the 4th Hokage. But he knew that Itachi knew wiser after all if he made a move against him, even with his death. He told him that his man would still attack the Uchihas, and civil war would break out because the Uchihas would still go after the forces of Konoha to take over the village. Naruto had witnessed and heard all of that, and he knew what he had to do. The Uchiha's mind cannot be changed. No matter what happened, their mind cannot be changed. He saw that much from watching them and their meetings. Taking a deep breath, Naruto tensed in mid-ear before he activated the seal. 3 seconds, that was all it took. Naruto plummeted from the sky. His right hand obliterated the ceiling and also broke through the earth. He landed right in the center of everything. Immediately, all eyes snapped towards him. Shikaku's eyes widened in shock. They barely got a good look at him as Naruto dropped the explosive and flew out. It started to light up before. Boom! Time seemed to slow down as Naruto pushed himself faster than he ever pushed himself before as he flew around the building. The explosive funneled from underneath and exploded upwards. Naruto flew around it, containing it, so it would not affect the others. He knew what would happen after their demise. Itachi would take up leadership of the clan. With all of these Uchihas gone, Itachi would lead the Uchihas to a better future. He was the only one that Naruto could trust to do this. As Naruto moved at incredible speed around the explosion, keeping it contained, the fire and the blast erased all the Uchihas that were inside. All of them that wanted the coup. Their bodies were blown to smithereens, destroyed, as Naruto funneled all the force up into the air. Once he realized they were safe, he took off, creating a sonic boom as he flew through the sky. He made sure not to go over the barrier so no one would sense anything as he flew around and headed straight towards the forest. Once he was there, he tumbled out of the air and he collapsed on his butt. His mother had said that he would get far stronger the more he aged. He was just 10 years old right now, and he was tired. He's never moved so fast in his life. The explosives that he was able to obtain, which he did not get within Konoha, there were a lot of them. He could feel the heat and flames licking at his skin. However, this suit that his mother got him, if it got torn or ripped, which was already hard to do, it would fix itself. After all, he did not put it on. It was like a mental command. He tapped the seal in his hand and agreed that he wanted his suit to form. Once he did, it simply formed over him. It had the symbol for the House of Zod on the chest. It was black and white. The cape was white. It was well fitted. The more he grew, the more it grew. It scanned his body and measured him perfectly. The only thing he wished it had though was something for his face, as he didn't want people to know who he was. But he had no mask or anything that came with the suit. However, that did not matter. He could always wear something. As Naruto decided to head home, as no one would be ever the wiser of what is going on. Time skip. Minato was standing on the scene. There was nothing but chaos and destruction all around. Several Uchihas had gathered. These Uchiha members were the ones that remained home, the ones that did not go on missions, the ones that owned the stores and the shops. None of them were fighters. All the fighters had been gathered. Information about the coup had been kept secret even within the clan. Some of the members were weak-hearted, and the elders and Fukaku knew that. So the ones that weren't invited to the meeting had no information on the coup. They knew nothing of it. Nothing at all. Children were kept away from the destruction as Minato, with a few of his envoys who were scouring through the destruction, was watching the scene. The first thought that came to Minato's mind was Danzo, that he was the one that did this. He still believed that the man had a hand in Shisui's disappearance. However, there was nothing linking him to it. As much as Minato knew that he was a problem, he couldn't just kill the man. While Minato was a popularity within Konoha's name, his title, Danzo was a veteran from the war that had served with the third Hokage, and there was no proof against him that he did any of this. Everything was playing out exactly in his favor. However, Danzo's mindset was erasing all the Uchihas. That was a problem that he currently had at the moment. Danzo wanted to erase all of them, and yet he only killed the fighters. In his mindset, the younger generation will grow up and eventually harbinger hate and prepare for future conflict, but, well, they were all okay. Itachi was not here, he was out on a mission, because they were having a hard time thinking of what to do after Shisui's death. Minato knew that if he spoke to Fukaku, he might just sped up the plans, and Itachi would see him as a traitor. So they were having a hard time considering what to do. He gave Itachi the mission who asked for it so that he could clear his head. If Itachi did not return, he also had a belief that Itachi was the one to do this. Itachi wanted nothing but peace within the village, and he was willing to do whatever it takes. Knowing the death and destruction that his clan would have brought, he would have eliminated them. However, this blast, strangely enough, the blast did not spread. The magnitude of the blast, it went deep down in the earth, so much so that the ground had cracked violently. Yet the blast did not spread outwards, tearing apart the other buildings close. It was almost like there was a barrier that blocked all the force and kept it inside. At the moment Minato was stumped. Time skip. Naruto stood in a black suit as he was at the funeral of the Uchihas that died. Photos of them were lined up. The head of the clan name was there. Naruto glanced over as he saw the younger child trying not to cry. His name was Sasuke Uchiha. He was the son of Fukaku. His mother had both hands on his shoulder, but he was not the only one. There was many other Uchihas there. Many other children that lost their father and mother. Naruto knew what he was doing. He knew what he had to do. In order to protect the people that he cared about, he had to do this, but he just robbed children of their parents. And it was becoming hard to just stand here and look at them. His feelings were getting conflicted, despite knowing that he had to do this. Itachi would have been damned to a fate, and Sasuke would have lost his mother. And all those remaining would have lost their last remaining parents. And he couldn't afford for that to happen. As he watched Itachi Uchiha arriving, by his side was Izumi, also a friend of Naruto's. As Naruto simply watched the scene, his mother, who was holding his sister's hand, had made her way over to comfort Mikoto in this time of grief. Naruto felt a hand rest on his shoulder. As he glanced up to see his father, no words were said. He was just here to comfort him. Minato had no inkling of the thought that Naruto was even closely related to this at all. He didn't understand the things that Naruto were doing recently. However, every single day it dawned on his head that his son is a part of two powerful races, and his father was still alive out there, his real father. Naruto had told him that his father was not a good man. However, he told him that his mother said that he won't find him, which was a lie, as Naruto didn't want his father to be preoccupied with that, because he knew the level that his real father was at. Minato could not win in a fight. No one on this planet could. As he looked at himself right now, he was stronger than most Jonins by far. And he was just 10 years old. He could only imagine how much stronger he would be when he was fully grown. His mother told him that his father was a full Viltrumite. He was thousands of years old, their age, unable to be bound by simple, normal human comprehension. And Naruto was not sure what his strength was, but he knew there was no one here that could fight him, except for him. That is why when the day do come for him to arrive here, he was going to make a deal with his father. For him to come with him, he will have to spare the elemental nation. Yes, that is all he asks. His father wanted his strength. He wanted his power on his side. Naruto believed that he will take this deal. After that, he was not sure. His mother told him that the Viltrumites were a race of beings that conquer other planets. They were bad people, horrible people. But he was also half Viltrumite. He didn't know whether he should eliminate them all or rule them. Even though he had to fight his father for the leadership of the organization, he knew by the time his father showed up, he would be ready. Every day he could feel himself getting stronger and stronger. Every morning as he wake up, as the bright rays of the sunshine shine down on him, he could feel his body growing in strength. All he needed was a fighting experience to match a man that was thousands of years older than him. His mother told him because of his kryptonian DNA, his strength would far surpass any Viltrumite, and the merging of the Viltrumite DNA would make him virtually unstoppable. Naruto glanced up towards the heavens. As the clouds start apart, the bright ball of sun shined down on him. As he felt the warmth of the sun, calm in his heart and his mind. However, he would need to go and visit Inuichi. He could not tell Inuichi the things that he had done, but at least, talking to him, it always made Naruto feel calm. He needed the therapy to keep his mind clean. Even though he was slaughtering people that don't deserve to live, he was still young, and it was a lot for his young mind. Time skip. Naruto walked out on the field as Itachi Uchiha was outside training. As he stood there watching him, he was doing shuriken training as he threw them and hit all the targets. He turned around and saw Naruto as he smiled. "Ah, Naruto," he said. "What can I help you with today?" "Your mother told me that you were here," said Naruto. "I'm just here to talk." He had not talking to Itachi after everything. As he walked over towards him, Itachi sat on a stump nearby as Naruto sat on the other one. "What's up?" he asked. His face as calm as ever. He was always this way. Itachi was like an older mentor that he looked up to. "How are you doing?" said Naruto. "Well, to say I'm fine would be incorrect, or would not seem possible after what I've been through. I'm coping," he said. "Is there anything that you need?" Naruto asked. Itachi simply smiled down at him. "You always ask me how everything is, and if my clan is okay after you saw certain actions taking place. Only someone with a very good heart, a very kind person can see sadness that is taking place within someone else's heart and trying their best to help that person out." "Thank you for that," he said, "but you do not have to worry about me. Yes, it might be a lot now, but I am coping, as I said. It will take a while, but eventually, time heals all wounds," he said to Naruto. "Alright then," said Naruto. "But if there's anything that you ever need from me, just ask." As Itachi smiled down towards him, as the both of them sat there and simply talked, it got Itachi's mind off of everything. The Uchiha did not know who brought the destruction of those members of his clan. As much as it seemed like Danzo was the one that did that, it wasn't him. For one thing, Danzo had gave him a time, 1 week, and not to mention if Danzo was the one to launch the attack, he would not leave anyone alive. Furthermore, him himself, Danzo would try to kill him, to make sure that no one could retaliate against him if he did strike the entire clan. Itachi was not sure who did this. Even so, Danzo was still on the suspect list. The Hokage had the power to pull something like this off. All of them realized how problematic things were after Shisui's demise. There was no body, no remains of Shisui, just a letter leaving behind, saying that he was gone. A suicide note it was. However, he did not believe the Hokage would do something like this without speaking to them first, the ones that he had gathered to speak about the issue about his clan. But Itachi just truly does not know. There was only a handful of people that could have caused that explosion and escape. If this was an attempt of bringing the clan down and the individual that did it, there was only one person that had soldiers that would die for him, without even a shred of doubt, and that was Danzo Shamura. However, there was someone else that possessed the capability of doing something like this. Itachi glanced towards Naruto as they talked. It would seem strange that Itachi was suspecting Naruto. After all, he was just a child. Yes, an incredible, powerful and fast child, but still a child, who shouldn't have the capability of killing multiple people on a wide scale, correct? However, Itachi was in Anbu at the time and he saw the remains after the battle between Naruto and those shinobis that attacked him. The way he ripped them apart, yes, he was angered, but still, it was gruesome and disturbing. Not to mention his speed and strength. His fast moving ability allowed him to escape certain things and certain explosions. It was just a theory. Many did not see it, but Itachi was one of them that saw it. Naruto had changed a lot. He did not seem more cynical or dark or anything of that sorts. However, certain things that he says, certain way that he describes certain traitors, there was clear anger in his tone. However, Itachi did not truly believe. It was just a thought that popped into his mind. Given Naruto capabilities. Time skip. A few months later, the citizens of Konoha had been scared for something like that to happen within the village. Yes, it was a terrible, daunting thought that it could happen to any other clan. Yes, there was fear going around. However, months had passed and there has been nothing of the sorts to ever mimic what happened with the Uchiha clan. The members that were affected by the deaths were still affected to this day, but they had other loved ones to help them through. Itachi had taken the mantle of clan head to guide this clan into a better path, a better future, and things were getting better. His mother was helping him. The responsibility of becoming a clan head at such a young age was a lot. His mother and others were helping him. The children had gone back to the academy after the tragic events. Yes, they had took some time off. Sasuke was one of them. He did lose his father. However, he had his brother and mother there to help him out. The investigation of finding out who did this came up to an end as there was nothing that they could find. The chalk or residue that was left from the blast was one that the hounds or no one, not even the Aberame members, could track. The scent and everything had vanished. The blast was too powerful and it was funneled up into the sky. As that was rather suspicious, but all the evidence pointed to the blast being funneled straight up, which made absolutely no sense. Underneath the ground had cracks, so that meant the blast generated from below. There was a secret chamber underneath. A worship place for the Uchihas, it was said to be. Yes, the blast had generated from there. However, somehow it had went straight up instead of pushing out. It was almost like there was a barrier, but no one could tell what was going on. At the moment, Kakashi was under a tree. He was relaxing, reading his book. He was taking some time off Anbu to help Naruto. Yes, Minato had taken Naruto out of the academy. There was nothing more that they could teach him. At this point, he was just wasting his time there. Naruto had been the one to bring up that topic, saying that the academy could not teach him anything and he was getting really bored. And Minato agreed. So he had spoken to his final remaining student, asking for his help in this one. Who better to mentor Naruto than someone that he mentored himself? Minato was really busy nowadays with everything taking place. Not to mention, In a couple of months, the Chunin exams will be taking place, and this time it will be taking place at Kumo. The relationship between Kumo and Kano has been, well, it has always been choppy from the past, but Minato signed an agreement with the Raikage. Peace between the two lands. There will be no fighting between them. And he wanted to send some Genins towards the Chunin exams. The Genins that would be graduating by that year. He wanted to show that he was supporting the peace treaty that he signed between them. And he also wanted Naruto to attend. What Naruto was lacking was experience. While he had great strength and power, he lacked the experience. So Kakashi took him under his wing, as he was now his mentor for the time being, until Kakashi returned back to the Anvu. Naruto touched down in front of the man. Number 10 complete, said Naruto. Each Genin, it doesn't matter who you are, had to do a minimum of 10 D-rank missions. However, unlike any other Genins, Naruto possessed great speed and strength to do them faster than anyone else, and this was his 10th mission completed. Given the fact that no other team had graduated this year, Minato had no problems giving Naruto the D-rank missions for him to complete all 10 of them in one day. After all, higher rank shinobis will not do D-ranks. They went through that already when they were younger, but there were still some low level that still did D-ranks from time to time. After all, you did the missions inside the village and you still get paid for it. As Naruto had completed his 10 D-ranks in a matter of hours. He could have gone a lot faster, but he wanted to make sure that everything was well taken care of. Kakashi looked up from his book. Already? Come on, Sensei, said Naruto. Do you really doubt I wouldn't be able to do all of them quickly? Well, I suppose you would have finished all of them sooner than expected, but even for you, this is record time, said Kakashi. Well, I am a record breaker, said Naruto with a smirk. Well, I guess you want to do a mission outside of the village border now. Your first outside mission. Am I right, Kakashi said, looking towards Naruto. Well, that was the whole point of me doing these D-rank missions, because they were truly awful. My sister thinks that being a ninja is gonna be cool and awesome, but she's not like me, so I'm guessing whoever is gonna be her sensei is gonna take her on more than just 10 D-rank missions. And she's gonna be pissed, said Naruto. Huh. Given the fact that she inherited my mother's temper when she gets angry, it's not gonna be pretty. Even Kakashi trembled at that, knowing how Kushina could be at times. Alright, the one-eyed Jonin said as he got to his feet. Are you sure you want to do this now? Aren't you tired, he said. It takes a lot to wear me out. I'm fine, said Naruto. It was a good thing that they started early in the morning, so they still had time for Naruto to go on different missions. This was his first time doing a mission for the village. Yes, he did do his nightly activities, but this will be different. Kakashi watched him as the both of them walk. Unlike normal Genins, they wouldn't have to start with anything simple. The only reason why he did the D ranks was because it was necessary. It was a bare minimum that every Genin had to do. But in terms of raw natural talent, strength, speed, capabilities, Naruto was far above any other Genin. Minato wanted to make sure that Naruto was ready for the Chunin exams. If this was anyone else, everyone would have said that it was too soon. But those that knew about Naruto knew that for him to take the exams, even right now, would be a given for the other students. Because maybe then he wouldn't have the experience. But once he does, Kakashi doubted that anyone would be able to defeat Naruto in the coming future. Not even his father, not even if the first Hokage was still alive. So with that, they made their way off. Time skip. Two arms tried to wrap themselves completely around Naruto, while he was being kissed on the forehead by another person. Be careful, Kushina said to him. I'll be careful, Mom, said Naruto. Despite knowing how strong he was, his mother always worried, especially now that he was gonna be going on real missions. His sister, on the other hand, she didn't want to let go. As Naruto kneeled down to her after, making her release him, as he looked her right in the eyes. This is what we ninjas have to do. You're going to do this one day. And I'm going to be just as supportive as you are. For me right now, said Naruto, making her come to an understanding. Alright, she said. But do as mom said, okay? And be very careful out there. Don't worry, I will, he said. And you help mom and keep things running while I'm gone here, okay? She nodded. I'll do my best. I won't let you down. Making Naruto smile. Time skip. Both Naruto and Kakashi were lying on their stomach as they were looking over a creek. What do you see? Kakashi asked. It's more than we expected, said Naruto, as he looked down below. There was a group of bandits that were going around, robbing several towns in line of fire. Most of these places were allied with Konoha because of the goods that they shipped to them, such as rice and other things that was necessary. The leaders of these towns had called for a mission from the village to stop these hooligans from taking their things and attacking their people. Two of their people that they transport was already dead, as he had faced off against these hooligans when he did not want to give up his goods, and they strike him down. They had no compassion, no remorse. Hearing that truly pissed Naruto off, but he had to remember to keep himself under check. When he was home talking to his parents and friends, he was the normal, calm Naruto, but out of their sight he was something different. Not to mention his father had not seen his suit. Naruto had played off the mark in his hand as something his biological mother gave him for him to remember his kryptonian heritage. As he did not thought it fitting for them to see it after all. If someone one day see his clothing, it might go around and information might spread. Considering that it was his super suit, at the moment he was wearing black pants, a black t-shirt with a vest over it, with numerous pockets with things inside. It was similar to a Jonin uniform, but his vest was grey, with tiny white streaks going along the side. It was customly made by his mother when he asked her for something awesome on a vest, and he liked it. There was also a swirl on the back, as it was her heritage, the Uzumakis. It took them some time to follow the lead. These guys were much more than they thought. There was a warrant on their head from the daimyo himself from Land of Fire for their arrests, every single one of them. So once they did their mission here, they should bring them all towards the capital to be arrested and judged for their crimes. They did not only kill 2 transporters, they also killed government official in their raid. After all, the daimyo was basically the government of this land. So yeah, they were to be locked up. What's their prison like? Said Naruto. Said Kakashi as he glanced over towards him. I mean, are they just gonna throw them all in jail? Yes, most of them 4, going along with this criminal organization, but I presume that the ones that dealt the fatal blow to the important figures will get a much harsher sentence. Do you know who they killed? Naruto asked. I'm not sure, said Kakashi, but it must be someone important if the daimyo has called for all of them to be rounded up. So once we do our business here, we have to get them back there. Kakashi was glad that he only had to mentor Naruto, who could literally see distance away, like a Hyuga. He could also hear far distance away. What are they talking about? As Naruto zoned in as he closed his eyes, as he overheard the talking. There is someone in power inside. They're telling all the others to be quiet. Naruto once again activated his X-ray vision and looked inside the tent. There's a man inside. He's pretty tall, even taller than you. He has a stubby beard, silver hair, similar to yours, but it's more pointy like a porcupine. He has dark eyes, and 2 strange markings on his cheek, like a lightning bolt. Wait, are you sure that's the man inside? Said Kakashi. Yeah, said Naruto. I'm seeing him right now. What? Do you know him? Kakashi reached as he pulled out something, a book, as he flipped through the pages. Is this the man that you saw? Yeah, that's him. His name is Ringo, the Lightning Thief. He's a missing nin from Kumo. I would have never expected to see him in an era like this. He's a high priority. He must have done something really bad to his home village, and he fled from his village. He's a A-rank missing nin, worth a lot more alive than dead. That means they need something from him. This man had recently entered the bingo book. That is why Kakashi was so familiar with him, as he had saw it not too long ago, his entry. So what do we do then, said Naruto. I'll handle him, said Kakashi, while you handle the others. They shouldn't give you any problem, Kakashi said. Don't worry, I'll take care of them, said Naruto as he cracked his knuckles. We'll wait until it's much darker. With your vision, and also my understanding of this area, with all the trees, he will be at a huge disadvantage. In my home turf, he said. Alright, said Naruto. Time skip. Later that night, the missing Ringo was by himself, as they were waiting on something. The go-ahead. Ringo was a hired gun, yes. He was being paid a lot of money by a very powerful man to cause distractions and chaos. There was something going on within the home of the fire capital itself. Ringo man had been stealing and causing a lot of mayhem because problem need to be made so the person could do what they could do. And Ringo was being paid a lot for that. Ringo loved money, yes, from a young age. He did not grow up with a lot of it, but since becoming a ninja he realized that money run this world. Since then he started to do underhand things to get money. However, he became tired of pretending like he was a good ninja, as sometimes that got in the way of his business. So he made a bold move. He stole several important things from Kumo and sold it to a very important individual. Kumo was out for his head, but with the money that he was getting, he would be long gone before they could ever find him. And that was good for him. At the moment though, he was waiting, as there was a person to give him the signal to go ahead. A person that was right inside of the Fire Daimyo capital himself. And none of them knew about this. As Ringo was there inside the tent alone, he glanced up when he saw something, a shadow. Before he could say anything though, a hand pushed through the tent and grabbed him and thrust him away. Ringo was thrown as he slammed through trees, crashing hard. The commotion got all the guards rallied up. As Naruto landed, time slowed down as he thrust his fist into a guard's face. However, he had to subdue himself more than usual because this was a mission. As he used less force, however, it was still enough to crack the guy's nose. As he was sent sailing, Naruto moved through the camp like a speed demon. He kicked away another feet and bashed him in the face. A guy rushed towards him from behind. As Naruto turned and laser beamed his sword, the guy was forced to drop it. Naruto stepped into his guard and slammed both hands into the side of his head, knocking him out. He then turned as another one fired several projectiles after him. Naruto exhaled breath out of his mouth and slowly froze them as they fell. He picked up one of them and threw it. It knocked right into the guy's skull and knocked him out. Several more then attacked him. Meanwhile, Ringo leaped out of the way as he clashed with a copy ninja. Of all people he expected to see, this was not one of them. He was already in pain from being thrown through trees, and then he had to dodge an attack that would have pierced him. As Kakashi leaped up in the trees and vanished, Ringo looked around. Your little tricks aren't going to work, he said. Flashing through hand sign, he released a blinding light. The shock will catch a copy ninja off guard, and then he shot forward, trying to find the dizzy copy ninja because of his flash. A technique that was used for dizzying your opponents. As he saw Kakashi on the ground, his eyes not yet adjusted to what was going on. Ringo pulled two blades from behind him as he grabbed them and sank them into Kakashi's chest. Smile on his face as blood coated his hands. Poof! The blood poofed away along with the body. Ringo felt something connect into his back. He was thrown as he slammed forward into a tree, pain coursing through him. Meanwhile, that was going on as Naruto stood in the center of the field. Broken arms and broken legs, he subdued them all. As Naruto saw a guy reaching for his blade, he squashed down on the guy's arm. He screamed out as Naruto kicked him across the face, knocking him out. He then noticed something. One of the guys had something that was glowing, the closer Naruto got. As Naruto reached forward and flipped him over, suddenly, Naruto felt pain. Pain unlike he's never felt before. From a rock? A glowing green rock was causing him pain. Naruto fell over on the ground in pain, as the rock was subduing him. His whole body felt like he was being hit all over. He's never experienced this pain before. The only time he ever experienced pain was when those guys came after Mito. He was not as strong back then. What the hell was this thing, he thought to himself. One of the guys with his broken arm saw Naruto collapse. He had pretended to be unconscious because he didn't want to suffer anymore. "You damn brat," he said. He picked up the rock and placed it on Naruto's chest. As Naruto cried out in pain, as strange green markings started to come all over his skin, he could barely open his eyes. The guy reached for a dagger nearby and held it over Naruto's head. As Naruto finally opened his eyes to see the blade descending right toward his head, his eyes turned red. Kakashi arrived, as he had his shirt sleeve torn. There was blood trailing down his arm. However, Ringo was unconscious, knocked out cold. He was in a worse condition. Kakashi only got scraped by his blade. That was now bleeding. But he could not hear anything or see anything. Where the hell was Naruto? Rushing over toward the scene, Kakashi was shocked to what he saw. Beside Naruto was a corpse without a head. The head seemed to have been blown to pieces, as Naruto was on the ground, unconscious. There was a strange green rock on his chest. Kakashi was confused what was going on as he moved to Naruto, noticing that there was a blade in Naruto's shoulder. It had stabbed him. But how? Weapons were hard to pierce Naruto's skin. Looking towards the blade, he noticed that it did not go all the way down. But this was deeper than he expected for anything to reach by piercing Naruto's skin. He's never seen this before. Weapons did not go further under breaking his skin. But now this went inside. Kakashi picked up the rock off Naruto's chest, but he was unaware that the markings on Naruto's face had gone. Before, when the rock had been placed on his chest, green markings had been taken over his body. The kryptonite which the rock was sapped Naruto's strength to the point where his skin became so soft. However, the dagger still would not pierce all the way through his body. And there was a reason. Yes, he was kryptonian, which made him weak against kryptonite. But he was also Viltrumite. And his mother had said that his body would adapt and gain strength and powers that she could only dream of. And she was correct. This was his first encounter with a kryptonite rock, and his body was slowly adapting. But for now, it hurt him. That was until he fully adapted them. Kakashi patched himself up and picked Naruto up. During his fight, he also found out some information, as the attacks made no sense. Why was Ringo attacking people of Land of Fire for no reason? Why did he want to get on Konoha bad side? Someone very powerful and important was paying Ringo to do this. And it was a member of the Land of Fire Daimyo family. This mission was far more complicated than he thought. But for now, he had to get Naruto out of here. He seemed to be fine, just unconscious. As Kakashi also took the rock with him, wondering why that was on his chest. It must serve some purpose. And he had to know what happened here, because that guy's head was blown to pieces. Given the dagger in his shoulder, he believed that it was something that Naruto had to do. For now, he just had to get him out of here. But guys, if you ain't subscribed right here, if once things person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform, and go on ahead and check out the other watchings of the other channels. So yeah, without further ado, wasting more time, what do you say we get out of here? See you guys soon. Peace.